Hey guys, we give you guys a second, as usual, to start coming on. Um, and as you come on, as always, just ping your questions down below. Let me know what you want to talk about, and I will try and get to every question, and I will try to address everything that happened tonight. And then, obviously, if there's other topics that you guys want to discuss other than the game, feel free to do so because that's how we usually roll in these streams. We can start off with some games, or with the game coverage, and then we'll go into whatever other topics that you may be interested in, from player performances to transfer rumors, or just overall tactical stuff or not tactical stuff. It doesn't really matter. Um, as you come in, guys, drop your questions down below, and then obviously, as always, there will be a chance for one of those questions, or maybe even more than one question, to feature on X as well, where we'll post up question for the broader audience to respond to, and we'll take it from there. Um, okay, we got some people coming in. Um, as you guys are coming in and posting your questions, I will just try and find. I will just try and find the stream on Twitter and share it. If you guys could share the stream as well, that will help us a lot because at the moment X is hiding the stream, well, hiding quote unquote, because it doesn't show on your timeline at all. You have to go under broadcast. Have to manually um, find the stream, and then you have to share it. You have to share it manually, and that's how it works now. It's a bit annoying because it doesn't show even on the Barca football timeline or the profile. It won't show. So unless you go looking for it, and unless you're very vigilant on Twitter and X rather, you won't find it. So give me 1 second to share the stream. While I do that, drop more comments down below. I actually got the whole list here. Got the whole list here to go through because I made some notes actually on this game, which is always good. Um, Helps me kind of have a structure to the stream, right? Not just ramble. Um, right. Okay. I'll just share the stream first. While you guys get on with your questions and comments, we got a couple of them, actually several coming in. I love that, guys. I will get to every single one of them. I will feature you on the stream as well. So make sure it's a it's a good one and something that you will want shared as well. Um, we're at top of the table once again. Yes, we are. Um, right. Okay, that's done. It's now shared on X. If you are on X, please do and try and retweet it. If you're on YouTube, you can. I don't know if YouTube has any retweet options or repost option. If it does, um, make sure to do it. And okay, let's start with some basics. I think seeing how Real Madrid have dropped points, this was an immensely important game for us to win, and it was all about that. I want to say about the response to the couple of bad games that we've been having the last couple of weeks. Atletico Madrid, Girona. I know we've sat through them all, and they were not, they were not nice games in terms of results and performances. Yes, we can talk about referees as well because I think, see, we do have a policy on Barca football that we rarely, if ever, talk about referees. This season, however, that has changed, and we've addressed the refereeing mistakes a couple of times in our streams already. And it doesn't seem like it will stop at that point either, because the mistakes just keep on piling up. Now, tonight, I don't think there was any controversy tonight, at least nothing that's really worth mentioning or worth scrutinizing over. Um, but yeah, just a note in case you do want to discuss the referees, we are now open to potentially dive a bit deeper into it, although we're not referees. And I sometimes I struggle to keep up with refereeing not decisions, but the rules because they seem to change. They seem to be whatever the referee decides it is in that any given moment, and that is the biggest problem. But okay, let's leave the referees aside, um, and let's start with some comments. First, I will say hi to everyone again. Thank you for joining us. There are some people coming in now, about 100 people just now. That's good. Thank you so much. Let's keep the number growing and let's keep retweeting the post if possible. Um, Jakob, I think it's Jakob. Hello to you too, my guy, and welcome to the stream. Van Lee, good to see you, man. It's just me tonight. There's no Dev. I think it's like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. for Dev, so he couldn't make it, and I don't want to don't want to force the guy to wake up at 2 a.m. to watch the game every time and then record at 4 a.m. Because he's got work in the morning as well. So it's just it would be fair. But yes, top of the league, guys. This was exactly what we needed, and just go to show that this league is still wide open, right? Which is a bit sad to think about because Madrid have been well not good, and Barca have not been good either. So it's kind of a I don't know, two teams competing for the league title, and both of those teams are kind of in their banter areas at the moment. Areas, banter, not even eras, more like banter moments, or periods rather. Because I don't think Madrid or Barca are being as dominant as they can be. Barca have the superior individual quality to steamroll this league, to be honest with you. But it is due to the defensive mishaps. We'll touch upon them as well tonight. That this is not this is as close as it is. Madrid are a bit different, and let's touch upon Real Madrid real quick because now that we discussed the top of the table situation, we have to touch upon Madrid. See, Madrid and Barca are different in the way that they respond to this. Madrid have a foundation that allows them to win games without playing good or without playing well, whereas Barca don't necessarily have the necessary profiles, physical and maybe technical to some extent, which allow them to break open games even if they're not playing well. Because Barca are missing the physical foundation, the physical floor which Madrid have, and that physical floor is one of the most transferable attributes in football, meaning that physical floor, the physical attributes, they transcend levels in football, right? So you can that is the biggest predictor of success, I would say performances, because you can take a guy who's a very dominant force in any level, and then you can try and transfer that skill to top level it's transferable in a much easier manner than technical ability is. So Madrid have these things, and they have clear game breakers in Mbappe and Courtois, for example, in key areas, which means that they don't have to perform at the highest level to be winning games. Barca, they need to be performing much better to be able to win games. Okay, we'll touch upon that as well. And I can see the Bernal shout. Absolutely, I will get to Mark Bernal because there are things to discuss about Mark Bernal. But let's start with just some context here because Levante are the team who have conceded 17 times. They conceded first 17 times this season. Why am I telling you this? Because that's a crucial piece of information. Barcelona, if they can start games well, score first. If Barca score first, chances are Barca winning the game. Because this Barca, excuse me, this Barca are the epitome of a momentum team, right? We were excellent at riding the momentum last season, which got us well, it got us really far across the competitions, right? This season, we've not been able to capitalize on momentum, and we've been giving out too much momentum to the opposition teams. What do I mean by that? It all ties back into our flat starts of the game. If we start flat, momentum swings fast in the other direction, and Barca suffer. However, when Barca score first, all that changes, and it's a completely different game when we score first. We're far more confident. We keep piling on, and when we do keep piling on, the individual superiority shines or outshines most, if not all, the Liga teams. Now, Levante being this team that always concedes first, this was always going to be a tricky fixture for them, especially away from home. Of course, tonight could have ended differently. Right? Barca could have scored 2, 3 more goals easily. Levante could have scored 2 or 3 goals as well. Maybe even should have. But you have John Garcia, and then you have a bit of luck, and that sometimes that's enough for you to keep a clean sheet. Now, if we go and play like this, if we allow Levante three, four, five, I'm exaggerating, but if we allow Levante that many high quality chances, sitters at times, okay, they might not take them as we saw tonight, but a better team will. And that's why Atletico Madrid score four, or that's why we lose some of the games that we have lost this season, because you can't allow that. We can't play tennis matches, especially. See, if our plan is to outscore teams, you cannot be missing sitters twice or 3 times a game. And we've done that tonight. You cannot, if you're 1-0 up, or you're all even 0-0, and you miss one, two, three massive opportunities like we have, you cannot afford that against bigger teams, quote unquote bigger teams. That is my that is the biggest flaw of the system. Outscoring teams, fine. We know Flick likes to do that, and that will be his approach. He will continue playing that way. But if you are in a tennis match, and if this open warfare type of game, if it doesn't yield immediate final product for Barcelona, we are in big trouble. We have hit the frame of the goal, so post over 20 times a season. Another thing, see those two misses at the beginning where Rafinha latches onto a pass from one of the Levante players, shoots straight at the goalkeeper, fine. The ball rebounds, Lewandowski picks it up, skies it, or it goes off the ground and then off, and then over the bar. That's what I'm talking about. The problem with this bar says, yes, we can score loads of goals when we get going, but one big flaw is that we constantly miss big chances. I don't have the data on me, but it does feel like we waste far too many chances this season. Chances that we should not be missing. At this level, absolutely not, especially going to the round of 16 of the Champions League, and potentially beyond and all of that. There's no there's no world in which that doesn't get punished, especially considering we're likely playing PSG or Newcastle. Right, let's go into the next comment. Love that Bernal performance. I do agree. I think Bernal is finally starting to show consistency in his performances. Up until this point, or up until a couple weeks ago, Flick was, I don't know if he was hesitant to play Mark Bernal for reasons that he only knows, because Bernal was fit to start games. It was just that he maybe wasn't match sharp to start games. Maybe that was the thing. But now, whenever Mark Bernal plays, he performs at a steadily high level. And this is the difference between Mark Bernal playing occasionally and Mark Bernal playing more and more often. Because if whenever you play, you take the opportunity with both hands and you capitalize on it, then yes, Flick will have to take notice. But one thing that I would say about Mark Bernal is that people are now starting to catch on onto his attacking instincts. If you read our blog, actually, I will link it down below. If you read our blog about Mark Bernal, you know that we did state this. Mark Bernal used to be a more advanced midfielder back in the academy. He used to get into those advanced zones far more often than now. But even now with the first team, you can see that his attacking instincts are kind of breaking through. You can see little bits and pieces of them. That's why I do believe that ultimately, or at the moment, Mark Bernal is more of a 6 and 8 hybrid, more so than a pure number 6. He can be both, and Frankie can be both, kind of. So together, you have these two players, and that's why this combination worked, is because both were kind of complementing each other, right? So when one of them pushed forward, the other one stayed back, and vice versa. Obviously, you have almost the third attacking player in the mix, but he was more consistently the attacking player, whereas these two were kind of more balanced, right? Um, anyway, so that is one of the things that is quite underrated with Mark Bernal, but now I think people are starting to catch on, um, because there simply is there's quality there. And for Bernal, he doesn't have to score goals to be elite. That's the beauty of it. When someone's goal scoring is only a cherry on the top, it brings obviously immense value because goals will always be valuable. But that also means if such a big part of the sport as a whole is a cherry on top of a certain player, that means that he's got a much deeper skill set that he brings to the table. And that's fantastic, right? It's amazing. Badly, let's see. One thing with Furman, he strikes the hell out of the ball. Yeah. Furman's best attributes are space exploitation, just sniffing out the space, and ball striking, hands down. Ball striking, there's not many players in the team that strike the ball better than Furman. I would say Marcus Rashford is one, and then Rafinha is the other one. You got these with these three players. Now, obviously, Dani, great ball striking as well. Lewandowski, great instinctive ball striking. Ferran is kind of an erratic ball striker. Can be good, but also can be horrible. But yes, I think Rafinha, Ferman, and Rashford are some of the best ball strikers in the team. When we talk about ball striking as a whole, it's not always just scoring goals, right? Because ball striking means passing, means crossing, means set pieces, all of that. The way you strike a ball determines so much. It doesn't just determine your shooting. And that's one of the tips that when you scout at lower levels, for example, right? If you want transferable skills, if you want to scout for a player that you think could make a step up a level, you look at his role in the team. If the guy is highly influential, let's say he's a great goal scorer or great assist or whatever it is, and he's on set pieces are a clear giveaway because that's where you get your best ball strikers are always set piece takers, right? And that means they have a wide selection of traits that you can always transfer to a higher level because set pieces, it doesn't matter what level you're playing at. Set pieces are unopposed. There's no one. They are condensing your space. Yes, there's the wall of players ahead of you most of the time, but the way you strike a ball or how cleanly you strike it, with what feeling, with how much weight, how much power, how much precision, how much backlift, all those details, you can see a lot of that quality and transferable skill just from the set piece takers. It is quite fascinating. Thoughts on the changes today, Jakob? Good, good. Let's start with the most obvious one, or the I don't know if I should say the most surprising one, but let's start Bernal side. That was fantastic. But Cancelo, clear standout, obviously a clear standout, uh, both in performance and just being that presence on the pitch. And this is the clear difference that he gives you compared to someone like Balde. I love Alejandro Balde, and to this day, I will always defend Balde and say he doesn't need to be an elite final third player to be an elite Barcelona fullback. He doesn't need that because he's got other elements to his game that are so beyond everyone else that if he just brings that one thing or that aspect of his profile to the table, he's already good enough to be elite. That said, clear night and day between Cancelo tonight and Balde the last couple of weeks, especially in that final third. Now, a lot of that is due to finally, and I would say, I think finally at this point, we have Cancelo hitting that match sharpness that was needed. Cancelo finally having the momentum behind him, and because he's such a momentum player as well. Cancelo usually, when you look at the bigger picture of the whole season, Cancelo usually, I don't want to say that he peaks very early, but he does tend to perform really well at the beginning of his, not even his season, but if he, even more so if he's transferred to a new club. Look at his Barca stint, first couple of months. That's when he's at his most influential. A similar thing happened with Joao Felix, for example. So these players, lone players, especially that are momentum players, they go in, the crowd is very excited to see them. Barca string a couple of wins, they have a couple of moments, and that momentum carries them. Cancelo is the same thing. But tonight, the system and the game state also played into his hands or feet a little bit because Levante are obviously a low block team most of the time, but they were also very narrow. And they were narrow because we forced them to be narrow. Barca, when they face a 5 man back line, a 5 man block, they struggle. But tonight, it wasn't as bad because you had two withholders. You had Cancelo on the left, you had Lamine Yamal on the right, and then you had three more players occupying the whole 5 man back line, essentially. Rafinha inverts, Dani Olmo pushes high, Lewandowski is there as well. You have a 5 man back line, sometimes six, because remember, Bernal and Frenkie are hybrid players, and sometimes one or the other will push forward, and Barca will actually have a 3-1-6, right? 3-1-6 line formation where they overload the back line with six players. Now, what that gives you, it gives you space outside of the block, or rather in the wider areas. Why? Because Levante were dragged inwards by these half space players. So Rafinha goes inwards, he drags the fullback with him. Olmo pushes high, um, and engages that back line. Fullback or center back are occupied. That means there's space out wide. Why did it work for Barca now? Because they had elite creators in terms of distribute, or elite distributors. That was the right word. Because when you recycle the ball from the central area out wide into Cancelo, who is in acres of space, you can bet on him finding his target. And it happened, right? And it was first, it was Eric Garcia, I think, and then it was a Cancelo for the first two goals, right? Same principle. Make them narrow, recycle the ball inside, get the ball outside to a free player on the flank. The free player has the time to do a cutback, do a low cross, whatever he wants, finds the target inside the box. Barca finish the action. And both Frenkie and Bernal have attacking instincts. They can both function really well as more advanced number eights. We have seen both do that. And I don't mean just because they've both scored goals. It doesn't really matter. They both have attacking instincts. That is, it's a good thing. Nico Gonzalez was the same. He was a number six, right? We saw him as a number six. He's still seen as a number six, but he has such attacking instincts and tendencies that he was always going to be hybrid between six and eight, especially with players who like to carry the ball, which Nico Gonzalez does and Frankie De Jong does. But no, he can and does as well. Maybe not to the same extent, but still does. And those players will always have these more highlighted attacking instincts. Let's put it that way. Oh yeah, Van Lee. I'm just seeing your question. Why are people not convinced with Cancelo? Aren't we an attacking first team anyway? His defense is overanalyzed. Yes, I think to an extent, people are not convinced because Flick is not convinced. Van Lee, I think, or maybe up until this point, because why Cancelo has barely played so far. And to be fair to him, or to Flick rather, this is his first standout performance. You can't have standout performances without actually playing the game for extended periods of time. That also needs to be said. But he's looked very much out of it. It just didn't seem sharp. This was the first time I saw Cancelo laser focused and Cancelo actually doing Cancelo stuff. First time. And once he does it, to your point, us being an attack first team, it does suit us. But also suited us because we were able to pin down Levante. When Barca can pin down opponents, they're a completely different beast. Yes, we see these ping pong tennis games a lot, and low block teams will sometimes or often allow you to pin them down because that's where they're comfortable at. They're comfortable defending that deep. But when you're given the space to work with, regardless of the low block, and then you allow Barca to attack you with wave of after wave of attacks, it will always suit us. And it suited Cancelo as well. So I hope rather that this is the start of Cancelo actually performing and being given more because that's why he was brought in, right? Give Balde a rest, give Kunde a rest. Now, obviously, Kunde is still playing, but it does seem to me like Balde and Cancelo, they may not be the preferred fullback pairing at the moment. It might just be because Flick was waiting for Cancelo to hit his stride, but it does seem that way. Visca Barca, absolutely Visca Barca. I still want Hansi Flick out, says Daniel. Okay, I mean, fair point. I think there's an argument for that, and I'll tell you why. At the moment, our picture of Hansi Flick is at a crossroads, right? We're still we still have fond memories of last season because that was the most fun we as a as cool as Barcelona fandom have experienced in a long time. Hands down. The most fun and joy, to be fair, and joy. So we still hold Flick in a high regard. We still think fondly of him in last season. Now this season he is right on the brink of muddying those waters, if that makes sense, of muddying that perfect picture that we have of Hansi Flick. Should if he were to end this season in a bad way, we as a fan base have a tendency to be very reactive, not really try and look at the bigger picture, not really try to be objective. And I'm including myself in that conversation as well. We tend to react badly, right? We are very reactive in that sense. So there is there is an argument there to be had about Fleck maybe leaving while he's still on the fantasy good side. But then who do you bring in? Who realistically takes this team to the next level if not Fleck? Maybe he's not there for the long term. Maybe he's not the next Barcelona generational coach who's going to win everything with Barca. Maybe not, or most likely not. But he's still done great work nonetheless. And mid-season, especially, you're left with not many options. Rooney should be subbed on earlier. Lamine should be taken off as soon as the game is done. I fully agree with this, actually. And Lamine was, I don't know, kind of off tonight. Yes, he is fasting, I think, at this point, isn't he? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he is. So maybe that's also that's also something to consider. But yeah, especially in these situations where you have someone like Rooney, who, to be fair to Rooney, he's been performing really well whenever he plays, or almost whenever he plays, which should be enough for Flick to say, okay, I mean, we're not going to use you for the full 90 minutes because we're 2 or 3 goals up. You're struggling, obviously, for various different reasons, and we don't even need you on the pitch as much. So, yes, I would agree, said. Hope I can call you said because I don't know. I don't want to butcher your name. I'm very mindful of that because my full name is a nightmare as well, and I'm used to people butchering it, quote unquote, but don't want to be disrespectful. Why did he bring on Ferran Pedri and left Lamine on? Yeah, that's the big question, right? Okay, Pedri needs game time. If we're going to use Pedri against Atletico Madrid, which we'll definitely will use, he needs to players when they return from injury, they need to play. They should not be rushed. They should not be forced to play for 90 minutes on high intensity, but they should be playing. Little bits and pieces every game, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, one half football, and then you build up the full games. So Pedro needs to be built up to full match sharpness. Ferran is on because Lewandowski can't play full games. Simple. Simple as that. Um, Ferran is always defending against Barca, has no place. What do you mean? Oh, yeah, you mean he's not right? Yeah, I do think that Ferran has his limits, and um, I do think that the Ferran doesn't help Barca break through their limits. If that makes sense, right? So he is what he is. He's got his level, and he's got his use. He's not. I wouldn't bet on him long term. I wouldn't want Ferran as Barca's number one striker, but nonetheless, guys, I would still say that he gives you something, which is which is exactly what we need from squad players. Why can't Flick control matches this way? Yeah, I think a lot of it is the intent of the whole team. Um, because if the whole team rushes, if the whole team has the intent, even inserting a player like Bernal, for example, who is a more composed player, right? We can agree on that. It won't tilt the intent of the collective. Does that make sense? And Barca do seem to be rushing the first ball, especially as of late for some reason. We blew six big chances. Levante got way too many easy scoring opportunities in the first half. Yes, yeah, especially see that's what I talked about at the beginning of the stream as well. Horizon S A. So if you are a team that wants to outscore the other team in an open warfare type of game, you cannot afford missing that many clear cut chances. Because in an open warfare game against a better team, the other team won't miss that many or as many as Levante have. We have seen what happens when the other team actually scores almost every chance they have, which is Atletico Madrid, obviously, and that could easily happen against PSG. It can easily happen against Newcastle. And I'm guessing that you guys are referencing exactly that. Uh, you know, in the bigger games, that's the big worry. Flick will get slaughtered by Bayern and PSG or any decent team. Yeah, that's. I think it is possible with this defense and a clear blueprint being handed out to every big team or every team from that matter out there. Yes, Barca, unfortunately, unless they take charge or control of the game immediately and force momentum, then yes, it's not going to happen. I mean, it can happen. Oh, there you go. 33 times. I said at the beginning of the stream it was 20 something times, but yeah. Okay, 33. Even worse. Even worse. And doesn't surprise me. Well, I don't know how it keeps happening, right? I don't know what happens that Barca are so unlucky or just sometimes they miss that finishing quality, right? Right. Let's see. Are two defensive midfielders both scored today? Yes, because they're both hybrids. I talked about that a lot, so I'm not going to go into it, Horizon. But yes, they're both hybrids. 6/8 hybrids, and both have great attacking instincts, regardless of them scoring or not scoring the goal. Dominic may as well be a birthday if any young got perfect. Did he really? Wow. I'll go check that, Vanley. So fast score. Right. Perfect 10 out of 10 for Frankie de Jong. I really want to see that. Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. 10 out of 10. Jesus. Let's see what what gave him that, right? Based on the stats. Big chances 1, key passes 4. And this is what I keep saying. People say, "Oh, he's such a conservative passer. He doesn't create all that." Taking it on he can be wherever he wants to be, guys. That's the thing, right? 97% passing accuracy, 97% in the opposition half as well. 100% in his own half, 100% long passes. Okay, but let's look at defensively. Tackles 3, but none won. One interception, 4 out of 5 ground duels won. Decent, but Arguably, there were a couple moments where Frankie just, again, he's slow to react because he doesn't have a burst from standstill position, right? He has to get go. Once Frankie gets going, then he's fast and he's also sometimes or oftentimes unstoppable, right? He has the momentum, but from a standstill position, he doesn't have that burst, right? And sometimes that costs us in counter pressing, but also in how he reacts to loose balls that are in his vicinity. Um, I feel like there's been a drop in direct goals from set pieces compared to like, yeah, I mean, you mean for Barca or in football in general? Yeah, for Barca definitely because no one scores free kicks. That's number one. Um, and Barca have not really, never really been a team that scores many headers. I don't think so. There's those two things. But yeah, I think Rashford. We have the players that could potentially do that, but yeah, it's not really happening. Also, Olmo. See, I have mixed feelings about Olmo because when he's number 10, he's more of a moments player, right? Invisible most of the time, but he can be clutch in certain key moments. Absolutely fine. He's used to being that. He's capable of being that. He's shown that this season as well, where he's just simply nowhere to be seen, and then scores a banger, right? That's fine. But I've also liked Olmo when he's played deeper, and that might be a bit controversial. But when he's played the left center midfielder role, kind of a Pedri role, so to speak, sometimes dropping deeper, assisting in the double pivot, I know most people don't want or like Olmo there, but I kind of do. Tonight, I didn't really pay that much attention to Olmo, to be fair with you, but um, not bad. I mean, that's who Olmo is. If he doesn't score nowadays, this is often what happens, right? Because he will only operate in moments, and sometimes that it can be detrimental if you never reach that one key moment per game. With no more away goals, Joe, is there still value playing your home like second? I think that impact has diminished. It has diminished in terms of the actual goals, but still, you would feel more confident having already played the more difficult game first, right? And then, okay, we have the second leg at home. Psychologically, Van Lee, I think psychologically it does more good for the team who plays the second leg at home because yes, you get the more difficult game out of the way first. That's one thing. The other thing is you would feel more comfortable defending or chasing a result at home, both of which it has to be done in the second game. The second game is the deciding game. Psychologically, again, there's more pressure on both teams in the second game, and when there's more pressure on you, you would where would you rather play at home or away? Of course, you would rather play at home. Psychologically, playing the second game at home is always going to be an advantage. At least that's how I see it. How about we try Cancelo on the left wing and Rafinha as a nine? Like, it could work. One thing about the left winger for Barca, if you can't take advantage of Lamin's gravity to the right side, the that becomes a problem. Look at what Girona have done. Look at what Atletico Madrid have done. They've put 2, 3 players on Lamin with no consequences. Why? Because on the left wing, we had Gerard Martin, we had, oh, who was it? I can't remember. Anyway, we had players on we had Olmo or Gerard Martin on the opposite flanks against Girona and Atletico Madrid. And those players cannot take advantage of the open space that they've been given by Lamin's gravity. Cancelo is similar because he's not going to attack that space with speed or intensity, right? So having him as the isolated winger works better when you have him in exactly like tonight, where you pin the opponent down and then invert Cancelo slightly and having play those in swing crosses into the box. That's what when he does more damage, but he does need a runner and targets in front of him, right? So if he's a left winger, you can lose that, and you lose the advantage of the isolation that Lamine creates. It could work. I'm not saying that it wouldn't work. Maybe it would. We have not seen it, but I that's my reasoning behind it. but we'll see if Flick disagrees. Uh, Cancelo post game interview. I've not seen it. What did he say? Feel free to share, Valley. If you see it, I will try and have a look before the end of the stream. Guys, this is our bot. If you want to buy us a coffee, it can be $1, $2, $5, whatever you feel comfortable with. We would appreciate it because obviously this is a hard thing to do every single week. We got 7 people on YouTube. One guy. There's always one person on Twitch. Whoever it is on Twitch, please comment down below. Please comment down below because we always get one person, and I have a feeling it has to be. It simply has to be the same person every time. That there's no way we have different people tuning in and out randomly. So please, if you're still there, if you're watching and are willing to comment, please do. We got 10 people on YouTube, guys. Thank you so much for commenting and thank you so much for watching us. We've got about 650 on X. Not as many, mostly because I can't, for some reason, I can't promote this properly. It doesn't promote on our channel anymore. X is kind of hiding the stream. I don't know why they've done that. So it's become much more difficult for me to promote it. It's fine. But yes, I will also drop the link to our blog down in the comments, guys. If you would please have a look, um, that would be that would be I'll be grateful for that, please. Actually, why is this not showing on X? It's a bit strange, isn't it? Because we can't get people to click. So people in the stream to click on these links. But now I'm seeing it's only showing for YouTube people and Twitch people. Uh, yeah, it says for X is only read only. Anyway, I don't know why. But guys, if you would click on the link, we've got a massive John Garcia piece coming out. You will love that. The new John Garcia piece will be fire. I just know it. I feel it. I don't really like Olmo as double pivot because he doesn't press well enough. He's also slow. Yes, I think that it is part of the problem. But also in the double pivot players or midfielders in general that stay deeper, they are at such a massive disadvantage because they constantly have to mark 2 or 3 players and they constantly get bypassed like cones. Essentially, it doesn't help. Obviously, you're right that he's not a naturally good presser or a very athletic player who can dominate big or small spaces defensively or dueling wise. Olmo is a great small space dominator on the ball. Like he's tricky and agile and technical. He can do that. Defensively, not so much, right? Right, guys. I think it's been 45 minutes almost, and people are still coming in. I like that. The longer this goes, the more people we get. Um, but unfortunately, I will have to go. But it's been nice catching up. Thank you for joining me. I hope I'm not boring you when I'm by myself. That's always the biggest thing because it's just one talking head, which can get boring real quickly. But I do appreciate everyone who is actively participating, posting questions because that keeps us going. And it shows us that, okay, maybe we do have a small impact, not a big one, obviously, but uh, an impact nonetheless. We'll try and keep doing these things. Obviously, sometimes it'll be just one of us, sometimes it'll be both of us. We can't really predict those things. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining. We're back, top of the table. The league is still ours to lose. I am sure of it. Copa will be difficult. Champions League, one can only dream, right? But changes will be necessary if we're gonna do any of those things. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining. Please do subscribe if you would. Find us on YouTube, find us on social media, and obviously on the blog, which again, right there, right there. Click on the blog, follow us, subscribe. We have a free tier, but also paid tiers. Obviously, paid tiers will give you much more analysis. But if that's not your cup of tea, that's absolutely fine. It's all up to you. Thank you so much for joining, guys, and I'll see you next time. As always, stay safe and let's go.